No, let's just have fun with it.
We're just doing it. Okay,
We're just gonna rock and roll.
I was gonna say, how do you accomplish the trolling?
Oh, I mean, it's just like sometimes all you have to do is say people's words back to them. Like people that consider themselves enlightened, like Christians or enlightened liberals, will say stuff like, "Oh, yeah, like the homeless encampment on the Parkway. Wish Mayor Wilson Good was still here. We could just have another move bombing and take care of it."
Wait, he was the guy that dropped the bomb on people.
Yeah, and sometimes all you have to do is say their words back to them. You're like, so your solution to homelessness in Philadelphia is firebomb homeless people? That's your best option?
Yep.
And they're like,
ordinance.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, learn how to take a joke. And you're like, I just want to clarify, you think firebombing homeless people is funny? And they're like, and so sometimes sometimes I engage with people, right? Sometimes I'm like, hey, like, what do you think a solution is here? If they're saying something that's not, let's hunt the homeless for sport, that'll solve it, right? Which is like a basic tenet of the Republican Party at this point.
I'm gonna say that, and hostile architecture, which is like the grossest waste of public money I've ever seen.
Right, like it would cost less money to give you housing, and I would prefer to pay an architect to figure out how to make it harder for you to sleep.
Yup.
Yeah. And so like every once in a while you like talk to a neocon and they're like, throw them all in prison. And my favorite thing is like, that would be more expensive. We could be more fiscally responsible with the budget by giving them housing. Prison's too much money. And they don't know what to say because they can't jive the fact that their value is actually hating homeless people, not fiscal responsibility.
Yeah.
Their value is just, I want to punish people I don't like. Like, I don't care about, like, solutions.
No.
But, like, how angry do you have to be to hate a homeless person? Like, a person that's so down on their luck, they have no place to stay. And you hate that person.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Where does your hate originate from? Like,
right.
What is the genesis of that hate?
Well, you have people that are like, oh man, like these folks are an eyesore on the Parkway. You're like, I'm so sorry that this is hard for you to drive by for 15 seconds. You do realize that these folks live on the street year round, right? And that's a little harder for them.
Oh, people.
You can't firebomb things because it's an eyesore. Otherwise there'd be no Walmarts.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, like, what if we just firebombed everything that was ugly in the city?
Yeah, man. And it's people like I actually got one guy, like, because also if you ask a Republican enough questions, they show you who they really are. Like,
yeah,
you know that meme that's like the evil empress from Emperor's New Groove, and she's like, you needed what is it again? Food? Yes. Oh, you're starving? Maybe you should have thought about that before you became peasants.
Yeah.
This dude literally said, I was like, hey, he's like, they should get a job. I'm like, isn't it quite difficult to hold down a job if you don't know where you're going to sleep at night and you don't have a place to shower?
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Don't you have to put an address, like, on a job application?
You do.
Right. And I was like, hey, like, it doesn't, don't you need one before the other? Aren't there obstacles? And he goes, well, they should have thought of that before they chose to be homeless. And I was like,
if you had, out of everything you could choose in life, people have enough time picking chicken or fish at a wedding. Like, I don't think anyone just wakes up and like, you know what? I'm gonna be homeless today. I think it's the right move for me. My 5-year plan, homelessness is definitely in that.
Right. Like, Republicans portray themselves as realists and then say, yeah, people just wake up one morning and say, I think homelessness is the path for me.
The logic falls apart. But then it's like, the true difference is if people will still try to argue past that point or attempt to gracefully exit the conversation with no dignity, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
Once you're in it, it's like being an undercover cop for like too long, where you're in it. You're in it now. And so you're beating up meth addicts with a fucking bike chain.
Jesus Christ.
So like there's no line between reality and what you believe in. Like it's all together now. That was a good book. Hell's Angels is a good book about undercover cop that became a Hell's Angel. Like he forgot the line between reality and what he's doing.
Right, like he got real good at his job. He got so good at his job that he just stayed.
Yeah, I mean, tattoos, meth, swinging bike chains. I assume that's what bikers do.
Yeah.
But while we have a quick lull in between,
Yes.
welcome to the ImPrOv'D podcast by Bright Inventions, or Bright Invention presents the Improv podcast. We got Owen Corey here as our special guest. And
welcome, Owen.
The most wonderfulest host in the world, Shea Sonsky.
Oh, hi. And the other most wonderfulest host in the world, Eric Walker.
Grazie.
See, I could have said the second most wonderful host, but I didn't.
I wouldn't have been offended. I wouldn't have been offended. So wait, so you did it just to be nice. Did you mean it though?
Words come out of my mouth and things happen.
Okay. So we just kind of got off on a start.
Yeah, we just started recording like mid rant. You know, just this is Owen Corey, everyone.
He's a proper bloke.
I argue on Facebook with people.
I was gonna say, and I'm always impressed with your patience. I'm like, I would have rage quit like 5 comments ago, but look at you.
Look, man, I grew up in Delco.
Is arguing.
Look, man.
Fighting.
But I also like grew up ignorant AF. You know what I mean? Like you through some fault of my own, but also when you grow up in an area like that where you're exclusively going to school with white Irish Catholics for the first 8 years of your life, you walk out of that, like you don't escape that unscathed.
It's like prison.
Yeah, you don't escape that without holding a bunch of really crappy opinions.
But you grew from that. That's that type of environment where you still argue with someone that agrees with you.
Yeah. Oh.
Like you're still arguing with him. Like, yo, why are you still arguing with me? I'm on the same page. No, fuck that.
Nah, dude, fuck you. It's beige. It's beige.
There's no off-white. Eggshell? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, that's what I said. It's bone. No, it's not bone, you dummy. It's eggshell, which is the bone of the chicken ovum.
It's the outside chicken. It's the chicken exoskeleton.
Yeah. It's not eggshell. It's exoskeleton. Get it right.
Yeah, eggshell is an abbreviation for exoskeleton, you dummy.
I was going to say egg membrane is the skin inside of the eggshell that is a slightly different shade of off-white.
Yeah.
But it's still white.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there you go again with off-white. There is no such thing as off-white.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Right. Owen, we prepared tons of questions for you. Well, not tons, but we just got off on it. I had a feeling it would go this way. But
everything's a bit. It's fine.
Yeah. Shay.
Yeah.
You were talking to me before this about the question you want to ask.
Oh yeah, what are some pertinent things that we can ask Owen that will take the discussion in an interesting direction? Anyway, Owen, you came to Bright Invention that time when we had also former member of the group Caitlin Chin also has her own theater company, Cirque du Nuit, which Owen was also a member of. And when we collaborated with Cirque du Nuit, that is when Owen came to us. So Owen, what was it like coming to us from a movement-based background?
I'll shoot straight with you. I had not been working with CDN for more than like a day. Like I went to one of their regular rehearsals first. And then like the second rehearsal I attended with CDN was the collaboration with Bright Invention.
Okay.
Oh, so you're just naturally that much better at movement stuff than the rest of us. Cool.
No. I had movement like training in college and had been doing like workshops and stuff from when I got back to Philly from California. So like it was stuff that I was used to.
Yeah. I was gonna say I had movement training in college, but it messed up my knee forever. So then I stopped.
Yeah, you got to watch your kneecaps, you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Mine's not attached anymore.
Really?
Yeah, it floats around. And so if I build enough muscle, it stays in place. When I get out of shape, it hurts again.
Wow.
So Shea, you've just got to have a permanently ripped knee for the rest of your life. Like your knees just got to be jacked.
Let my muscles be there.
Otherwise,
I'll wear a brace.
She lifts everything with the one leg. Like, we got to move this couch. I got it. Just one.
Yeah.
Leg.
No. If I'm doing movement stuff in a knee brace, it's because I'm out of shape.
Got it.
I didn't know theater was this demanding. I am not officially trained in theater, so I don't know.
Oh, so you're just that good naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say it. You did. But
right.
We can just let it go.
There you go. That one was free. But
yeah. So tell us more about this. What brought you to Bright Invention and other things about Invention.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I got in there and I hadn't done improv since college. And our improv groups in college were like, the ones that I was involved with were very short formy and like, yo, waka waka, let's make them laugh and then get off the stage. So getting involved with like long form stuff and long form stuff that wasn't waka waka, make them laugh, get off the stage. Was this so sort of like so close? Was this sort of brand new revelation-y experience of, oh, this can be this can have the elements of it that I like about other performance work, that it can have deep connection, it can have humor that's not born out of jokes, but it's born out of character. It can have all these things that I love about other forms. If you're doing it in this long form way that takes it seriously and focuses on character and people, you know, the Bright Invention deal, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say one thing, I just remember the work that we were doing when we first met you, and something that was really kind of an exercise that I remember being really revolutionary for me was the gesture one. When we walked around, we found like a personal gesture. Mm-hmm. And then we had, you know, that we're like, okay, if that's a 5, you know, you bring it down to 1. What if you bring it up to 10? Right. And then I forget what it was, when we were discussing it after, we ended up psychoanalyzing kind of what those gestures were, because I think these were not character gestures. We were like, what's a personal gesture that you do? Right. We're like, oh, this did take us to a really deep, long-formy place. Like, I remember mine was just, I will play with my hair when it's like right here and it's available, and I'll play with it. And the most extreme version was like me ripping my hair out. Then we go in a circle, we're like, let's break that down. It's like, but
we don't have time to unpack all that.
Yeah, but it was like, that just kind of brought an entirely different perspective, like things to build a character from. How we first, you know, when we brought the gestures to the extreme, it was physically really comedic. Right. But when we broke it down and talked about it afterwards, you're like, oh, that's that's revealing, that's this or that, and that's kind of an interesting, you know, short, like almost like a short formy thing to build a character off of a single gesture, but you can take it all the way and make it that deep if you go there. Yep. But you can also make it just the most amazing bit, like when we. What was this, Eric? This was the Valentine's Day show that we did with, you know, the chocolate fuck party. And I remember, and you were doing something, and I think I was on stage, so I didn't see because you were doing it behind me, where there was a scene going on, and you had a whole silent physical bit in the background.
With the chairs.
No, that was in the same Longform. That was with the bath. Was that the chocolate bath?
Yeah, I think I was Ben's wife, and I was getting ready to take a bath together. And I disobeyed the rule about improv clothes and took my actual jeans and hiked them up as high as possible to create the effect of like a woman in a girdle, and just started really aggressively getting ready for a bath, but at a 10.
Yeah, kind of taking the gesture, and that ended up being just a highlight of the show. And it was great because there was a whole, I think it was Eric, I was in a scene with you in the foreground of that,
right?
And it was the background.
I couldn't stop laughing at that. That was so damn funny that it was just happening behind me, and even when I wasn't looking, I knew it was happening.
Oh, I was just I can't look. I can't look. If I look, I'll lose it.
Damn it.
But physicality and having a silent scene in the background of a different scene that works.
A tableau, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah,
which is a thing that can happen with live theater events that can't really happen on any kind of on-camera thing. And I love playing with that.
Yeah.
We'll be back to that soon. No worries.
Yes.
But before we get back to that, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Hey, are you interested in Bright Invention things? Like the social media, checking out shows, and or checking out classes? Well, turn yourself to brightinvention.org. There you'll find links to all of our classes, our social media, and the latest updates on Bright Invention. brightinvention.org. Put that in your URL and go to town. Thank you very much.
There we go. I'm giving you a little golf clap. That was an excellent marketing voice that you just did.
That's what I do. That
was great.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, Cirque du Nuit, are you still doing that?
Yeah. We've got we're working on a Zoom production right now. That's going to be an interactive play on fairy tales and myths, and sort of adapting that and creating a Zoom scenario that is still an immersive experience for an audience member. So there's a lot of moving pieces that require figuring out a mechanic of how do you take an audience member through a computer and make them feel like they're still immersed in something that is also a back and forth, right? That they can change the world and the world can change them. So we're coming up with some interesting stuff. I don't want to spoil too much.
No, that's a really interesting concept, though. I'm definitely fascinated to see where that will go.
The Cirque du Nuit shows, I've been to 3 of them, I think. They may be I wish I did acid, because they may be it feels like when Dorothy landed in Oz, that eye-opening thing, when you first walk into the room, it's wow, if you're transported into another world.
Yeah.
So it's important to not go in there with your current mindset. You go in there saying, boom, I'm down for whatever. Yes, right. And yes.
Tonight it's gonna be
it is the weirdest shit you'll ever be a part of, but it's so damn innovative and just fun and different. It's a world inside of a world inside of a world. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm definitely interested to see kind of how movement-based theater is taking to the Zoom world.
Yeah, we are going to be doing a lot more talking than we usually do. Eric's been to some of the show, and a lot of them are totally silent, totally non-verbal, and you can't work that on Zoom for 60 to 90 minutes at a time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you do blessings on Zoom?
It's it's incredibly difficult, and so there's going to be more talking and a lot more just general, like verbal, verbal intellectual stuff, and a little bit less of the very physical movement based stuff, just because Zoom doesn't lend itself to 60 minutes of physical back and forth.
Yeah. Also, just for people who might not know what a blessing is in the kind of vocabulary of Cirque du Nuit, Owen, could you describe what a blessing is?
So a blessing is almost like a nonverbal greeting that can be shared through a group that has a meaning. So one of the ones that we used was like here, and then here.
Yeah, that one. Oh, I was gonna say my favorite one was the slut with a heart of gold.
Oh, slut with a heart of gold. I forget
there was
that
a very specific, like, cute, like, heart gesture with it, but it's like a non-verbal language developed with the audience,
right?
To get them to come with you.
And you want it to be something that, like, you can teach people easily, and that, like, you can shift and change, right? So, like, if you have something like this, you can reverse it and dismiss somebody, right? You can hold it here, and there's like an attention, like pay attention kind of thing. You can make it directional. And so it's like a fundamental gesture that you could build relationships with.
Yeah, which is really interesting. And it's also, complete, even if the gesture itself, the initial blessing is rehearsed, it changes so much once you come in contact with the audience member that it is kind of completely nonverbal improv, where you're pulling somebody into a scene with you with no words, even people that don't necessarily have that kind of background. So I think that's very incredible that we as human beings just have that instinct.
Yeah, and people copy, right? That's how babies learn to do anything. People will. If you look someone in the eyeballs clearly enough and do something, there's a 90% chance they will do it back to you, as long as it's like non-threatening, right?
Yeah. And sometimes even if it is threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is so true. Just human nature.
So we'll make sure we plug that at the end when that's coming out.
Yeah.
That sounds super interesting.
Definitely a cool thing.
Yeah.
What other improv shit do we have to talk about? I keep cursing. I don't know.
I know, me too. I'm like, it's rated R. It's fine.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Can we bleep in post?
You can. I can edit it, but like if you subscribe to it, it's like cable. You can.
Yeah, this is HBO.
Yeah. Right. But with a better ending than Game of Thrones.
Oh.
That still hurts me.
I know that hurts your heart.
That hurts me deeply. That hurt me inside.
That poisoned my entire memory of the show too.
Yeah, no, because it ruins rewatch value. That's the thing that's frustrating.
I never watched it, so can you
don't
now.
Now I have to tell people, don't read the books. And the thing about
don't read the books.
No, don't watch the show.
Read the book.
Yes, don't read the books instead. Because even if like the showrunners were like, oh, but we were told what George R.R. Martin's ending is, but there are so many, like, there's simply just so many more characters that I can see the outline that was given to them, and just knowing what I know with like extra plot lines and characters, I'm like, oh, I can see how this would happen, but completely different characters would be involved in doing it, and it doesn't make sense otherwise. And I'm just saying very general things with no spoilers.
Right, well, I'll try to. I'll catch up at my own discretion. How about that?
Yeah, just read the books. I mean, the other books will come out eventually.
Wait, so the show is ahead of the books now, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe,
By a
you know
lot.
what? Maybe they'll remake the show and it'll be like Full Metal Alchemist. I'm
Wait,
getting
what,
into
isn't the show like the
story.
most like expensive show they ever made?
Yeah.
Like it's so ridiculous. Damn. Okay. So I'm sorry I brought up the Game of Thrones thing.
Yeah.
Let's just
So-
not.
Yeah.
I'll get.
I was like, do you want a whole half an hour of me angry ranting?
I do recall like at like the final season there was an episode we did something and we were in a like an office space. It was like before like a meeting or something, and you were pacing back and forth.
Wait, was
talking
this a
about-
corporate training thing?
Yeah, you were pacing back and forth talking about like a cokehead on Wall Street in the 80s. You're telling me, I don't understand why they did it. Why would they do something like that? It's ridiculous. The women don't look strong. And you're walking back and forth across the room. And I'm like, oh,
In a boardroom, yeah.
like, I don't know if I should be worried or not.
Yeah. Shay's smoking a cigarette indoors, just like.
She has the suspenders on with the Oxford shirt.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's just like slowly devolving into like a Wolf of Wall Street thing. Yeah.
Yeah, start doing that. I was like, Shea, I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
I was like, get me upset and give me a boardroom to pace around. Yep.
All right. So now that you're part of was Bright Invention your first time doing improv?
No, I did some in college, but it was my first time doing long form.
Okay. Ditto. Like I've never heard of long form. So
Yeah.
It was my first time as well. So what like long form versus short form? What are the pros and cons of that? Like what do you see? Like what are the advantages of long form over short form?
I mean,
Vice versa.
long form gives you space, and space means that like things are allowed to breathe, so not everything has to be funny.
Yeah.
Which means that the things that are funny can be really funny, you know, and can be funny in the way that, you know, like the way where comedy is effective theater and effective empathy training and effective audience development, in the sense of like it can raise an audience. You know, comedy can raise an audience if it's real and if it's related, you know? And
Yeah.
so in a long form show, if you can create something that people connect to, and then you can make them laugh at that, you can make people laugh at themselves. And that's incredibly important. You know, you can learn a lot by laughing at yourself. If you can create something that they know someone who's like that, or they recognize that thing, and you can make them laugh at it, or you can make them root for it. Even if they're laughing while they're rooting for it, you can build relationships and connections for that person that weren't there before, you know, and long form's got the space for that. Short form is just fun, and people also need fun.
Yeah, I think that each thing has its place, and you know,
Yeah.
there's not like, oh, long form versus short form is better. I'm like, no, both are totally good and necessary things, which is good because we're doing a short form show this Saturday, which I think will already have happened by the time this episode comes
No,
out.
this is airing this week.
This week. Okay, good. So we
I'm
do
gonna
have a
make it
show.
happen.
You're going to make it happen. All right, we do have a short formy show, Asteroids, this Saturday at 8 p.m. So check it out. And then we'll be super yuck funny in that one, and also audience participation, because we love that. And that's a lot of fun.
It's the best way to go.
But yeah, long form versus short form. Like, long form can still be funny, but I think in my head, like, the ideal long form will kind of almost feel like an episode of Scrubs, in a way where, yeah, there are hilariously funny bits, and there's bits and yuck funny parts, but the characters are grounded and established, and you really get to know them. So when things kind of take a turn or something is revealed, you get that like, ha ha ha, oh, and it's like you get that gut punch that makes everything else kind of more valuable
Right.
when you're watching. Yeah.
Right. You know, and in short form, you don't have time to set up a gut punch, But what you do have is the raw freedom and goofiness
Yes.
to bust guts, you know, to
It's-
really just live in a zone of complete silliness. And
Yes.
people also need complete silliness.
Yeah.
I found that short form, like when we first started improv with my old group of friends, that's where you you can kill the best or kill the hardest or bomb the hardest, because everything is so fast and furious. Shout out Vin Diesel, RIP Paul Walker. But it's so fast and so just on the spot. You don't know what you're going to say, if it's going to generate laughs or groans.
Yeah. And you don't have like the space and time to kind of clean it up or justify it in a short form place.
Not at all.
Whereas in a long form, like if you have a moment that's like, that fell flat, like you can still transform that and make it count.
And
Otherwise,
there's one thing missing from short form that you get in long form. You can get the douche chill, the groan, you can get the laugh, but in long form you get the
yeah.
because you get people invested in these characters over the course of like a 10-15 minute act.
Yeah.
Right.
So now you have like it's like The Notebook, the greatest movie ever made. Like you have someone there, like their heart is with you now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You can, both more and less forgiving.
yeah.
Yep.
But it's what you get with high payout.
Yeah, it's like, do you find that long form, like you're an actor, Owen, like that's your thing. Do you find that, like, I'm not an actor. I'm sorry. I came off wrong. I didn't like study theater or anything, but do you find that long form challenges you like as an actor?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's different to the degree that I'm not up there constantly feeling like, now I have to translate this, skill from scripted acting to improv. Like the things are different and they can be practiced differently.
Mm-hmm.
But the connection of listening and the accelerated need for listening because you really don't know what your scene partner is going to say next. Is a beautiful challenge that then translates back to scripted work, because you're building this skill in the long form work of like, I really have to pay attention to you because I don't know what you're going to say. When you get back into scripted work, you're still able to live in that place of, I really need to pay attention to you because I don't know what you're going to say.
It definitely feels like a master class in a lot of ways, where then you go back to scripted work and some things feel really easy except the memorizing part.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, doing a lot of improv all the time has definitely spoiled me when it comes to memorizing, but all the other skills get really strong because it kind of takes away any safety net and structure like that. And so you just, everyone who's ever had an acting teacher will go, acting is reacting. Well, improv is like, it's like, you're in a batting cage and you're just the balls are being spat out at you really fast. You just have to react.
Or they're spitting out slow. Like you don't.
Yeah, or slow.
Like
but the thing is, slow improv is still fast reactions because you have to pay. So it's even like, I would say doing slow or silent improv is like you have the ball machine set on like machine gun setting, because it's like you have to pay such close attention to your partner and react to like every little micro expression because you're without language.
Right.
I'll agree that like when we do there's an exercise called 4 lines in a minute, and you're thinking like you're just firing through your head. What should I say next? What type of action will progress what we're doing? What should I do like with my body? Like you're still, like your mind is going 100 miles a minute trying to figure out what to do next. And you have 60, all you have to do is just say one line.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's so much going through your mind at that time, like, what can I do to make this advance?
Right.
So it is coming at you and you're being bombarded. So even slow stuff is still like mentally taxing on the person.
Yeah. I'd also say the interesting thing about 4 lines in a minute is that when you first think about it, I think when you first do it, the initial temptation is to really use those 4 lines. You're like, well, a line can be a paragraph. But I think the most effective 4 lines in a minute is when those 4 lines are very kind of short and generic, and that the context is all provided silently.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of
and I think that works best. Yeah.
Right. Well, and even the impulse to go in with a plan, you know, you want your impulse is like, oh, I want to know what I'm going to do in this scene. As a scripted actor, you're like, well, what am I, you know, what's going to happen? What am I doing? And to then be asked to walk in and say, I don't even know if I'm going to talk first. So I can't even plan my first words because this other person might talk first and then whatever I came up with is out the door. So it really forces you to say, I'm just going to show up and listen. And I might have an idea, but I'm just going to show up and listen. And that attitude being brought into a scripted scene can be an incredibly useful tool, you know, of walking in and saying, I'm just going to listen incredibly hard. I know I have givens, right? There's things that I have to do. But I can do them as direct responses to really intimate listening.
Yeah, you can't even plan out your silent gestures because the thing is, especially, you know, pure improv when you don't have any props and it's all just mime work, is you could have a very specific idea in your head about what action you're doing. I mean, a lot of times Ben tells us to come on doing a physical activity with, you know, emotional context. But, you know, you could be like, oh, I'm washing dishes and wash dishes with like emotional thing. And as you're silently washing dishes, you can be building this whole thing in your head. And then your scene partner can come on and go, oh, what are you cooking? And then like, so you can't even plan in the silence, even as you're doing your initial offer, you still have to be listening really hard because you can't go, no, I'm washing dishes.
Right. Well, and it's, you know, we talk sometimes about, right, like everyone is an improviser because that's just conversation, right? Like a conversation with a person is an improv exercise. You don't know what's coming next and you're reading that person's body language to figure out what the next thing you say is.
Yeah.
And like, I keep looping back to scripted work, but like, that's what's supposed to be happening in every scripted scene. Is none of these people walked in with a plan of what they were going to say. They got confronted with something, and then they had to flip and scramble to figure out what comes next. And if you can bridge that gap of improv where you are genuinely scrambling to figure out what comes next, and a scripted scene where your character is the one scrambling to figure out what comes next, and you can link them, you get some really joyful stage experiences, and you can have a lot more fun because you don't feel like you're a train on a track anymore. You feel like you're a kid at a playground.
Absolutely. And I think like also the best scripted experiences is when, you know, you do have everything, you know, completely memorized, but then you get in that weird nervous state right before you go on where you're like, wait, what are my lines? I don't remember anything. And you just go out on stage and, you know, you hear your cue, but then you forget it. You know, you forgot that you remembered it. So in the moment, it feels so organic. That is like, that's the goal. And all you need is some extra anxiety.
That's all it takes.
Yep. You both have to trust yourself, but also forget to trust yourself for that like extra little adrenaline that makes it good.
Right.
You're just chasing that high, that improv high.
A little
It
bit.
works.
Yep.
Damn. So,
It's like, just gotta scare yourself.
so what do you say? I mean, we've done. I've been timing this. We've done 39 minutes.
Oh,
I
damn.
know. I know
Dang.
the time has gone by really fast because Owen is such a magnificent guest. I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Wait,
Yeah.
is that a good saying? Like I wouldn't, because that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a compliment. That's still a compliment.
Yeah,
That's
that's
That was
compliment.
not a veiled insult.
I'm sorry, Owen. You're the best.
I want to add it every time you do the Trump thing. I want to add in the accordion sound
That's so great.
every time. Just out of tune accordion. It can't be in tune.
Yeah, exactly. It's gotta be a busted accord.
Bagpipes.
just
What
how
about
it is.
bagpipes? No, bagpipes. Don't.
No, bagpipes don't work like that. But yeah, that's also another sound. But yeah, no, just busted accordion.
Yeah, and then
Yes,
I don't
sure.
know what instrument Sanders is playing. It's like a really soft guitar.
He's playing Fruit Ninja. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what is the name of those like little hand harps? They sell like those things. I'm blanking. There is a name for these things where they're like tiny little sit down desk harp.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've seen one before.
No one knows what you're talking about. I think you're
I
making something up.
No,
I
it's a
might be-
thing. But
Shea, you might be implanting a memory into my brain. Like I might just be faking it because now you've told me I've seen one before.
A small harp is
No.
called a lyre.
no, it's not a
LIRE.
lyre. It's not like
Lyre?
a you hold up in a thing. It's like a sit down and it's like on the table. I think it's one of those instruments that's
Is
like
it a
might
harp?
only it's like a kind of harp, but also not because it's like sit down. Like like how a music box where it's like the strings are down and he's got like plucky
The one you
boys.
Wait.
I'm not describing this
a
well.
music box that you sit down in front of and pluck.
Well, like how it's kind of like a sit down. It's like a horizontal harp. I think this is one of those
Okay.
instruments that's like created for music classes for kids.
Oh, okay.
And they're
There
like
is
on
something
the
for that.
desks.
It's called a horizontal harp strung with 7 to 9 strings, usually decorated with a final in the shape of a human forearm. It doesn't have a
That's
name.
very specific. Okay, it
I'm
doesn't have a
reading the
name.
Wikipedia. It
The
doesn't have a
harp that
specific
shall
name.
not be named. Little horizontal hand harp.
It has to have a name because there's a name for like a sit-down guitar. It's called a pedal steel.
Oh yeah.
The guy
Okay.
Robert Johnson plays it. I know that guy.
I was gonna
but-
say it's like the thing that we watched that time with the marble guy.
What marble guy?
Then we watched that really long video with the guy with the marble machine instrument,
Oh yeah.
and they're like falling on the string.
Talk about a stoner thing to get.
This was what we started off talking about Anna music, like those videos that you were definitely shown in a music class as a kid before.
Yup.
Yeah, that, and we started looking up that those are on YouTube, by the way. Like, ingest things and watch those for a while. It's fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. In the
Yeah,
app of the Cirque du Nuit show where people will pretend to be bees at you for a while, ingest something, and then watch music from grade school music class.
exactly. But yeah, when we were on that YouTube hunt, in the recommended video was a guy with a marble operated instrument. It was like a whole like musical Rube Goldberg machine thing. And this video was so long.
beautiful.
We just sat there. Our minds were blown.
It was like a 7-minute
totally.
performance of just watching balls hit strings.
Sweet
And
Lord.
you were
And like gears, and they go down tubes, and it's so intricate. We're just like, what? Yeah.
It's called a guzhang.
Using.
Oh
Guzheng.
yeah, a guz hang.
Guzheng.
Yeah, guz hang.
Yes.
Hey, where does Guz hang?
Oh,
I don't
he
know.
hangs by the guz hang.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yo, is that where Gus hang?
That's why they call it the Guz Hang. It's where Guz hangs.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a sit-down harp. That's what it's called.
Okay, the harp, not the marble machine instrument. That is an eldritch wonder.
I'm going to find out how to insert videos into this.
Right?
Yeah.
Just a little. I want like a little clip of.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that. But this is all test. That's why we're interviewing all Bright Invention members. We're just getting our feet wet. We're gonna learn the ropes, and then once we learn that, we're gonna devastate.
Yeah, we'll interview, real guests, I guess.
Wait, Owen Corey's a real guest.
Am I not a real guest?
I don't know. I think we might have made you up.
Conception.
I think you're a construct.
You're not actually here.
I'm part of your subconscious. Ask me questions.
Oh my God, are you a little French man?
That's not the question I would ask.
We're not going to talk about the little French man to a public audience. That's that's private.
Who doesn't have a little Frenchman living inside them?
Right? No.
We've all got a little Frenchman.
Is he wearing
like
the striped black and white?
I know. I'm like, is it a beret? And
is it a stereotypical Frenchman? He's holding. There's the baguette. He has a baguette with him
and a cigarette. A baguette and a cigarette.
Yeah.
Just straight up baguette one hand, cigarette the other hand. He's gnawing on the little pointy end, when he's bored, and he's and he's just got ennui for days.
Yes. Or is it Pierre Escargot, a la All That in the 90s? Kenan Thompson.
Oh, man. Amazing. What a great bit. What a consistently great bit.
Yep, that show, I was like, I'm so happy. Please spend the rest of your life doing bits, because the show, it's like he had it early, made a whole career out of it. I respect him so hard.
Oh, man. What a great bit.
Yep. Pierre Escargot. This is one of those, like, formative things. It's like you watched this as a little kid, and you're like, this is why I am the way I am.
Right. Like, maybe that is the little Frenchman in my head,
Maybe.
Kenan Thompson, that's the French.
In a bathtub in a raincoat in Paris. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? There could be worse people in there.
Yeah.
Like, I could have worse influences. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I could have Lindsey Graham in a raincoat in a phone booth talking to me.
That's Lady G, bro. Don't be
we're not going to talk about Lady G.
Oh, no.
Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah. Like, look, if Lindsey Graham, we're not going to shame Lindsey Graham for that. We're going to shame Lindsey Graham for being a Nazi, right?
Yeah, we're like we're going to shame for literally everything else.
Right. That's why I always object to when people, like, again, man, like Clinton-era liberals who think they, like, stopped needing to be progressive once Clinton got to be president. I'm offending probably a significant amount of our viewer base here. Eric, you can cut this, right?
No, we ain't cutting.
We're over
time.
Shit, dude. We're over time.
We're not cutting anything.
Great, cool. Because like Clinton-era liberals, like are like, yeah, like I'm tolerant, and then you'll hear them turn around and be like, "Gosh, Donald Trump, that fat piece of shit," and you're like,
"Yep."
So you think
Yeah, it's like you're going on the wrong thing.
I would never comment on somebody's weight or anything like that.
Like your objection to this man is that he's over. Like, no, he's a Nazi. We hate him because he's a Nazi.
Like, no.
He could be, skinny, handsome, and beautiful. He's still a Nazi, or he could be like, I don't know. Anyway, but the idea of like, oh, Trump's horrible because he's a fat person. It's like, what? No, shut up.
No, there are plenty of good people who are overweight. You judge people based on who they are, not like their body type. Yeah. I don't give a shit what you look like. If you're a dickhead, you're a dickhead.
Yep.
So that's all that ever mattered to me. I can be friends with anybody as long as you're not a dickhead.
Yeah. And like I think it's this like weird liberal idea of like, man, the last thing I can be openly hateful about is someone's weight. So I need that last refuge. And like they equate like somehow they equate, they're like, the worst thing I can call a person is fat. And you're like, bruh, there's nothing wrong with being fat.
That's no. Nope.
So like, Owen, you seem very passionate about, I guess, society. And so,
I mean, we have to live in it.
I live in a society.
Right.
you have,
Yeah, and
we are society, so everyone should be passionate about it. So
Right.
like it's I respect that, man. I like that you're so vocal about it, because some people aren't. Like myself, I choose not to talk about anything because I'd rather not argue with people, because most people that want to argue aren't going to bring anything of substance to the table.
Yup.
So that's why I just say, nah, I'm good, and just shrug my shoulders and leave, because it's not fair to me. I'm making this about me. That sounds familiar, right? That we would engage in conversation where my entire idea is based around me being happy and not the greater whole.
Right.
I want everyone to be happy. The more happy people, the less assholes there are in the world. The less assholes in the world, the less chance of you going out and then, someone's kid is opening up spaghetti boxes in the supermarket. So I just want everybody to be good.
That's so specific. Is this the thing that you
because I saw that last week.
And it's also like, but in that element of like, people should be, we want people to be happy, like you count in that too. And if arguing with a miserable human being is going to make you unhappy, or makes you unhappy, you got no obligation to do it.
Yep. I was going to say, I'm like, I like arguing with people, but only if they're capable of admitting defeat when I crush them. No.
Okay, no, but I do respect that, Skeletor. Okay, but it's
yeah.
But
and like
most people aren't going to admit defeat. No one wants to admit they've been bested.
I was gonna say, if it keeps going like past the point of all logic, I'm like, I will go past the point of all patience.
Yeah, but no one wants to admit they lost. Like if you play tennis, somebody has to lose. If you play fucking darts, somebody has to lose. But in an argument of ideas, in fact, you never have to admit you lose, because there's never like an actual score.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
And sometimes like there's points where you say something not because you think you're going to win an argument, but because like you don't want to allow a crappy opinion to go unchallenged, right? Like if someone walks into a room and says like, I don't think like gay people should be allowed to get married, you don't need to change that person's mind.
No,
you're going to say to that person out loud like, hey, you're wrong. Everyone else in this room needs to hear that someone told you you're wrong. You can continue being an idiot, but you need to be aware that if you're an idiot like that out loud, people will tell you that you're being an idiot. And so maybe you should be a better person, right? And just know that you're not going to get away with questioning other people's human rights.
It's about the shaming. It's about the there's two kinds of arguing. One is about the logic and one is just about the shaming. Both are necessary.
And one is about accountability, right? Because if someone says a crappy opinion like that and the room
you don't want to be the silent person. Yeah.
If the room is silent, they can walk away thinking, well, there's a room full of people that at least don't disagree with me. And then they've just affirmed their horrible, prejudice. If they at least are forced to confront the fact that like, wow, I said that out loud and someone told me that was a horrible thing to say, they're at least forced to confront that not everybody thinks that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're assuming people are rational and
that's the other thing.
Critical thinking. That doesn't happen, mate.
Well, that's like the
people are really set in their ways.
When like you talk about people, there's like why you shouldn't kind of argue with Jehovah's Witnesses or that when they come to your door, or like Mormons, this or that, because it's like if somebody's in that community, it's like when somebody reacts with a negative opinion, that kind of creates a confirmation bias where it's like the whole world is against me, and then they become kind of more insular, where, you know, with like things like talk about Jehovah, if somebody wants to leave, it's like if they're constantly, you know, if they're spouting the things that they're told to spout and people rightly are like, that's bullshit, then they're like, I'm being attacked, the world is a horrible place full of horrible heathens and this and that, and then it's like they become more entrenched in their you know, ridiculous belief, and more kind of entrenched in that community. So there are, I'm not even saying, because there's a time and a place for kind of both things. If somebody walks, you know, it's like how, like Westboro Baptist Church is so convinced that they are oppressed because they go out places and say horrible things. And the people in charge know that those people are going to be attacked for it correctly. But that's what they want to happen.
Yeah. So
in order to entrench their current members deeper in that community and make them feel like they can't leave because now everybody else thinks that they're a monster.
Because it can say, see, I told you, these people don't like you. So that's that certifies how they feel. Like they're victims. Like it's,
yeah, and it's like a cycle of this or that. So it's like when somebody comes at you with some bullshit, it's like you got to do like your quick reaction where it's like, is this a 1, 2, or 3 situation? Is this a logic argument? Is this, you know, like a call out argument? Or is it a call in argument where it's like you try to like gently.
Right. Or is this like a person that it's just going to be more effective to ignore, right? To refuse.
Yeah, or if you're just like, I don't want to hear. Yeah, if it's like, you know, the guy yelling on the subway kind of thing. And you're just
which
like,
I have much respect for, because it can give you pertinent information.
Right.
Because I do believe the deep state is after me. The deep state is definitely after me.
Yeah, man.
With the five
they're trying to microchip me.
The deep state is after all of us, baby. Capitalism is a death cult.
Yeah.
Eric, we're gonna have to cut parts of this, right?
We're editing, right, Eric?
Yeah, of course.
Like
I'm editing. I already got.
We can't distribute capitalism is a death cult to our members, right?
No.
I mean,
I was gonna say this is the time for the gentle call-in.
Like what?
We have to gently introduce the capitalism's a death cult, but we're gonna say it nicely so you don't get too intimidated.
Right. It's not. Yeah, it's not intimidating. Just hey, you know, everybody's bought and sold. Things happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
How's your Starbucks today? That's all it is. Boom.
Right.
Done. You're good. You're thinking about your almond milk frappuccino.
Right. Have any of you watched the James A. Caster comedy specials?
The who?
No.
So James A. Caster, he's a comedian from somewhere in the UK, but he's got a great bit about, he's like, you know, I think at the end of a conversation, you know, they always talk about breaking the ice. I think at the end of a conversation, you should unbreak the ice. Make it real frosty for the next person who tries to approach that person you were just talking about. You know, like you're walking away and you're just like, oh my God, yeah. You know, it's like death comes for us all, and then leave. That person's chilly. You know? Yeah. And so I think I'm thinking about that right now. Of like, you know, nice conversation. Oh yeah, you've broken the ice, and you unbreak the ice by capitalism is a death cult.
Yep. Leave.
Chew
and
on
scene.
That. Chew on that.
Yep, that's the button. There's the button.
Yeah. An icy
you found
button.
it. Yep. An ice cold button. An ice cold button that like after you press it, your finger's a little numb for a bit.
Right.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Don't lick it. Your tongue will stick.
Right. But like, you got to be careful who you unbreak that ice at, right? You know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Again, some of our viewers are probably Clinton era liberals, so perhaps the entire segment about how Clinton era liberals are horrible fat phobic people, we might want to go.
We don't need that. We don't need that. We can just, that can go on the Dark Invention podcast. I was gonna say everything that one can just be everything we cut from the main podcast.
It's we're building. It's the Scrapple of podcasts. Like
we need to come up with like enough like additional and like ancillary material and then mush it together into this like Frankensteinian deleted scenes of a podcast.
I'm sure, Shea, you and I
want it to be as weird as the deleted scenes in Revenge of the Sith.
I'm sure we can make a very vulgar, offbeat blue podcast, Shea. I'm not worried about you doing that. You have an insane sense of humor.
Just let me free. Just let me free in a Zoom room.
Let the lock off and just
let me rant in a boardroom for a bit.
Oh my God! Okay, give Shea a cigarette.
You weren't on cocaine that day, right?
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't taken any Adderall since until my prescription ran out.
You were marching around, and you were doing like not walking around. You were doing the
No, I was marching.
And you're like, this is bullshit. I don't know who agreed to this. Like, I need to find out.
A writer's room with no women in it. That's who agreed with it.
You said that.
That's what happened.
Like, this is what happened. What happens?
This is what happened.
No women. No women. I'm telling you. I was like, oh my God. It's like listening to Gordon Gekko right now.
Yep.
He's fucking just. You were killing it. That was
like I can go through a lot of this with that. I was like, I can do one about the last Star Wars movie too.
I haven't watched it yet.
I was like, don't, Eric.
I'm gonna watch it. I watch all of them. So.
No, like it literally, I was like, oh, I'll do. No, it like the last season of Game of Thrones, it manages to posthumously ruin everything.
That's cool.
Like every movie.
I watched Lost until it was over.
You understand? I did too. I did too. And I was like, I should have learned my lesson about J.J. Abrams then. And I didn't. But now he is. I'm like, he's even beat like the showrunners Game of Thrones for like nerdy failure king because he's got Lost, he's got
and Star Wars,
Star Wars, and he's got the Star Trek reboot that ended up really bad.
And the Star Trek, I come for the lens flare, stay for the incomplete storylines.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Nerdy failure king, Jar Jar Abrams.
It's not a good way to start off our podcasting career. Trashing J.J. Abrams.
I was like,
but if he does come on, I'd
cut.
be like, JJ, man, God
what
damn
were you doing? Although, you know what? Maybe it was the fact that Rise of Skywalker was written in the boardroom. I don't know how much control any of the creatives actually had by the end of this, because I was like, this script was written in a boardroom with a checklist.
Yup.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I was like, he might actually be innocent of that.
Right. Like it may not be JJ's fault.
Guilty
like it may
innocent.
not like so I'm like, I don't know what happened. I was like that could be the mouse. That very well could be the mouse.
Could be.
Because
once you get bought by Disney, you have to adhere to their rules.
Yeah. So I'm not convinced that it wasn't the mouse.
Yeah, it might have been Jar Jar Abanks. Just totally innocent.
Yeah.
All right. It's been an hour and 2 minutes. So I want to thank Owen Corey for being here tonight. Owen, give us all your plugs. Give us all the stuff you're trying to promote. Tell me something.
All right, so we talked about the Cirque du Nuit performance. Obviously, I'm in Bright Invention, so I don't have to plug that. My next thing that's coming up is I got a one-man show of Richard II. It's going to be happening virtually in the Marsh Stream International Solo Fest. We just submitted for it. So we got to get approved first, but if it goes in, it's October 7th through the 11th. And it's going to be me doing Richard II all by myself in my room with body puppets.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited for this. Like, Richard II is not one of the more frequently done things, but I did love it when I saw it, so I'm excited for this. Is your hand puppet a Sith? That hood's pretty intense there.
Yeah, it's
He's
Star
very-
Wars.
Okay.
It's Star Wars themed.
Yep. So
I
he's
will
gonna
make
tell
sure
him to do it.
we throw those links down below. If
Hey,
you're
hey.
watching this as a video, the links are down here
In the description.
in the description. So make sure you click the links, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share the channel, because that's the most important thing.
Yes.
Sharing is caring. If you're not sharing with
Yeah.
your friends, like, that's
What are you doing?
It's un-American.
This is, you know what? It's like, think of it like the cursed video. We'll just like throw some weird, disturbing images up, and I don't know,
That's
if you don't share
Within
in
7 days.
7 days, we'll just incessantly fill your inbox with bits.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's how it works. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Share, and you don't have to worry. Shea,
Hey.
do you have anything to plug?
Is this week?
I'm putting it. I'm gonna
Schedules
make
of
this
things are in flux. I was like, hang on a second. I have to think about. There are workshops. There are there are multiple workshops happening. So on August 25th, Amy Goldstein and I, you've seen her in episode 1, and we will be teaching a basic intro to improv workshop. So if you are a person that likes improv but doesn't, go, ooh, that could be really fun, but I'm kind of intimidated by doing improv, or you think I might want to take an improv class, but I don't know if I'm ready to commit to a whole kind of semester-long course, but I want to know what it's like. This is for you. So get a little taste of improv right there.
Okay.
And that will be happening. And also go to the Bright Invention. It's on our website under the classes and workshops. You'll find it.
Yeah, hit all the links down below. They'll be there. Big shout out to Kirsten Adams, who is helping run the YouTube page. She's magnificent.
Our social media manager /
all types
queen
of
of the internet.
fantastic. She is the TikTok queen, the Instagram. What's the word for queen? Instagram Nefertiti. And
I'm just staying silent to see what you come up
I don't
with
know,
there.
but yo,
Instagram czar.
respect
Yeah.
her work and click all the links below and check everything out. Check out the Patreon. Subscribe, please.
Yes,
the
please. We
YouTube.
love money.
Subscribe,
need it
share,
to live.
like, and hit that alert button to let you know when we have new episodes up and such.
Absolutely.
And we'd like to thank you all for joining us. Bright Invention here. Eric Walker.
Shea Sonsky.
And
Owen Corey.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know it went a little crazy, but whatever. It's
We're
improv.
doing it.
Hey man, everything after minute 39's just got to be shook.
Just cut that day down. All right, insert air horn noise effect here. Blah, 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 blah. Yep.